you can go ahead and plug in 64 into in for x and do 64 divided by 4, and you should get 16. Okay, so let's move on. Number 8 is the same way. Number 9 is the same way as well. I want you guys to know, I'm just going to make a quick little note. I won't solve this one because it is the same way of multiplying by the reciprocal. If this is 12 is equal to 3 over 13m, I can also rewrite this with the variable on the left side. So if I put this term here, 3 over 13m is equal to 12. This is the same thing as that expression. So you guys can see that I still am multiplying, but this is a fraction. I can go ahead and multiply as well by my reciprocal. Now, I understand that the inverse operation would be division, but if I divide by 3 over 13, that's the same thing as multiplying by 13 over 3. Okay, that's keep, change, flip if you guys remember. So 13 cancels out and so does 3, meaning I'm left with m. I'll go ahead and solve this one since it kind of is novel. I need to multiply on this side as well by 13 over 3. 12 times 13 is 156. Oops, it's going to run into each other. Sorry, guys. And 1 times 3 gives me 3. If you simplified this improper, you should get 52. M is equal to 52. If you plug that back in, you should get 12. Okay. So just remember, if you have a fraction and it's part of a product, meaning like what we just had, 3 over 13 times m, you can go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal to isolate v. So if you want to practice 10 and check yourself with the key online, you can totally do that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to let's see. Let's do, I guess we could do 11. Let's look at 11. Y over 3 is equal to 37 if y is equal to 111. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute, and I want to see if this this equation is true. So if I put 111 for y, I want to see if it equals 37. If I divide 111 by 3, I get 37. 37 is indeed equal to 37, so that statement is true. Okay. Let's keep going. Number 12. It says 0.5x is less than 12 if x is equal to 24. Now I want to go ahead and plug in 24 for x. So I'm going to do 0.5 times 24 is less than 12. So 24 times 0.5, that gives me 12 is less than 12. This is a false statement, you guys. The way I would make this true is if I put the or equal sign at the bottom, okay? 12 is not less than 12. It is equal to 12, so this is false. This is not true, okay? Again, you could make this true if you put an or equal sign to make that inequality correct and true. All right, so let's move on to 13. Thirteen says 9.4 is greater than m minus 3.2 if m is equal to 15. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 15 for m. So I'm going to get 9.4 is greater than 15 minus 3.2. Ooh. So 15 minus 3.2 is 11.8. 11.8 is not less than 9.4. 9.4 is not greater than 11.8. So this statement, this inequality, is false. It does not work. Okay? All right, so let's move on to number 13, or actually number 14. It says let's do a couple of these because I think you guys are really pretty good with these. Number 14 says you must be at least 54 inches tall to ride Batman. Now I want you to think about it. Can you be 55 inches tall to ride Batman? Yes. So that means that I can be more than that. So my inequality, I'm always going to have an x, and I have that 54 in question. So you need to be at least 54. So at least, you know that that's actually greater than or equal to. That's the symbol. So remember, I told you if you know your keywords, you know your symbols. So at least signifies greater than or equal to. So let's see if this is correct. In order to make this inequality true, I want to put an x here. So I'm going to say, let's see, let's say 60, this is 50. I can say 60 because 60 is greater than 54. And the way I would graph that is closed circle, and it's every number that's greater than 50. Oops, sorry. I just told you the wrong thing. Forgive me. This is 60. What I meant to say is my closed circle would go at 54, which means it's all the numbers greater than 54, and that includes 60. Everybody can see that 60 would work. 55 would work as well, and so would 54 because it's inclusive. It's or equal to. Okay, so I'm sorry if I confused you. So let's try one more so I don't confuse you. Let's skip to 16. It says if you have 3 or less sheets of paper, you may want to go to Target and buy more. Now I'm just going to set up my inequality. I know it's always going to look like something like this. It says if you have 3 or less. This means it's including 3. So that means or less. So if this number is less than that or equal to that, I need to go to Target and buy more paper. Okay, so this is how I would write my inequality, and I would actually graph it just like this, like so. Closed circle at 3, and it's every number that is less than 3. Okay, so if I have 1 sheet of paper, I need to go to Target. Okay, all right, so let's go to number 17. So number 17 is continued with writing equations. I think you guys were pretty good on that. Same with 18, 19, and 20. So I'm going to skip to number 22 and just do more practice with inequalities. So let's look at number 22. Number 22 reads 28 is greater than or equal to b plus 9. Now guys, this is very similar to an equation, meaning that I still need to get b by itself to understand what that means. So I'm going to isolate b by subtracting 9 on both sides of my inequality. I can isolate 9 because 9 minus 9 is 0. Sorry guys, my brain is fried. Okay, so after I do that, I'm left with b is less than or equal to 28 minus 9, which is 19. Okay, now I want you guys to read this. 19 is greater than or equal to b. If I flip this and I put that on that side, this would flip too, and I'll show you why. If I graph this inequality right now, this is how I would graph it. So this is 0. I'll say this is 19. This is negative 19. Now I need to make this statement true, so it says that b has to be less than. Do you see how this inequality symbol is wanting to engulf 19? It wants to eat 19 because 19 is bigger. So that means b is going to be smaller value. So 0 would actually work. So this means that my arrow would need to go to the left. Okay? So it would also be a closed circle at 19. Now I want to tell you guys why. I told you that the trick was this, that this is the point of your arrow. That trick only works if your variable is on the left. Okay? And I'll show you why. I'm going to go ahead and erase my work up here. I'm going to show you if I flipped b up here, I put b on this side and 19 on this side, my inequality would have to flip as well because it needs to still engulf 19. So it would be engulfing 19. I hope that makes sense, okay? So again, if I graphed it, 19, it'd be a closed circle at 19, and b would still be less than, so 0 would work, and it would still look the same. All right, I hope that makes sense. All right, so just be careful how you read your inequality tomorrow. All right, let's look at number 23. I think this was in question for everybody because it threw you off because you had to combine like terms. All right, there were two ways you could have done this. You can go ahead and isolate n by adding 9 to both sides, or you could add these and then isolate n. I like to go ahead and let's just isolate n. All right, so I'm going to add 9. My inverse operation is addition. Cancels out, that becomes 0. So this is very similar like equations in the sense that you're isolating a letter, a variable. So I put n on this side, and I bring down my symbol. I have to do the same thing on this side. That's what I mean by it's very similar. Add 9 to that side as well. So 12 plus 33 plus 9 gives me 54. Okay, so here is my inequality. It's simplified, but it said you need to graph it as well. So if I go to a graph, I'm okay if you just show me something like this, okay? So I'm going to go to 54. This is in question. It's going to be an open circle because there's no or equal sign at the bottom, and it's going to be the left direction. It's every number that is smaller than 54. Do you see how this is engulfing? It wants to eat 54. So would 0 work? If I plug that back in, yes, that means that I am going in the right direction. If 55 doesn't work, then your arrow should not be pointing that way, okay? All right, so let's go to number 24. We went over that one in class, and I think you guys were pretty confident with that one. It's very similar to number 4, so you can look at that one. So let's look at number 25. Y over 3 is greater than 10 over 9. Now, I told you guys this is very similar. This y has an implied 1 in front. That 1 also means 1/3, okay? So if I have a fraction, this also looks like that, okay? This is being multiplied. So if I want to isolate, I still need to multiply by the reciprocal, okay? Because y over 1 is still y. 3 over 1, if I do that, I can cancel out 3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 1y is still what? Y. So y is greater than, whatever I did on this side, I have to do on the right side as well. So I'm going to multiply by 3. 3 is a whole number, but as a fraction, it looks like this. Okay? So 10 times 3 is 30. 9 times 1 is 9. I don't know about you, but I can't graph that off the top of my head. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change it into a mixed number so I can see it visually as a whole number. So 9 goes into 30 3 times. That's 9 times 3 is 37. There's 27. There's 3 left over. Okay, 27 to 30 gives me 3. I keep my old denominator. Okay, so I can simplify this as well, and I get 3 and 1/3. So y is greater than 3 and 1/3. Does everybody see that? I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it up here. Y is greater than 3 and 1/3. That is my answer. So now it says I need to go graph. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is saying that y is going to be bigger or greater than 3 and 1/3. We need to figure out where 3 and 1/3 is first. 3 and 1/3. Sorry, thank you. I know you said that. Okay, back on track. 3 is going to be 3 and 1/3 is greater than 3 because you have a third next to it. So it's going to be greater than 3 but less than 4. So it's going to be about somewhere right here, okay? But this tells me it's going to be what kind of circle? Open. And this is also going to tell me it's in what direction. It's going to be in the right direction because the numbers have to be bigger than 3 1/3. Okay, so that is how I would graph it. All right, so let's move on to number 20. Let's see, let me read 26 real quick. Oh, you guys were good for 26. It said, why is Jennifer correct? She said that 4x is less than 16. She isolated x by dividing by 4 on both sides, and she got x is less than 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. She said when she asked, when she had 3 possible solutions, she said 2, 3, and 4 are possible solutions. If I plug in 2, is it correct when I read it? 2 is less than 4. That is true. 3 is less than 4. That is true as well. 4 is not less than 4. That is a false statement. Jennifer was wrong. 4 is not less than 4. Okay? In order to make this inequality true, I would have to place an or equal sign. Okay? 4 is less than or equal to 4. That is true. But Jennifer, you are wrong. All right, last but not least, it says, this was a review, guys, so this is kind of our previous units. So it says that we need to simplify the expression and then fill in the blanks. So I have 4 2a plus 8 plus 3a minus 10. All right, so in order to simplify, I need to go ahead and distribute. Whenever I have a coefficient outside my parentheses, I distribute. This is also a GCF, okay? So if I go ahead and distribute, actually take that back, that is not the GCF. Ignore me. When I distribute, I get 4 times 2a, that is 8a, okay? When I distribute to 8, I get plus 32. Please do not distribute to 3a. That is not inside my parentheses. So just go ahead and bring them down. Okay, so I brought negative 10 down as well. Now I just want to combine like terms. 8a is the same as positive 3a. They both have a. So I get 11a. Positive 32 and negative 10 are like terms. They're both constants. So if I add those together, I get positive 22. Now it asks me for the number of terms. I have 2 terms, 11a and 22. They are separated by a plus sign, or it could be a minus sign. Now the coefficient is the opposite of a constant. A constant is a number that is by itself. Coefficient is a number that is with a letter, or a variable, we call that. So my coefficient here would be 11, not 11a, just 11, okay? That looks like a face. Let me erase that. And then my constant would be 22. It's by itself, not next to a variable, all right? And then lastly, just to make sure you guys are good, it says factor the expression using GCF and the distributive property.